They say behind every powerful empire is a ruthless mastermind. But what happens when the brand is your family? Kris Jenner didn't just build a reality machine. She fed her family into it. She turned scandals into storylines, betrayals into paychecks, and her kids into brands. The question is, at what cost?
There's a famous meme online that says the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder. You know, people think you're some devilish mastermind pulling all the strings, but is that what a manager does?
Long before the title of momager became her crown, Kris Jenner was just Kristen Mary Houghton. She wasn't born into wealth or Hollywood prestige, but Kris has something far more valuable: ambition and charm. The ambition led her to her first marriage with Robert Kardashian, a well-connected attorney who was already making a name for himself in elite Los Angeles circles. Kris quickly adapted into this new lifestyle: Beverly Hills parties, social climbing, and a taste of luxury she had envisioned for herself. While raising her 4 children with Robert, Kris was already crafting the blueprint for the empire to come. She wasn't just a stay-at-home mom. She was observing, networking, and calculating. Even back then, her mantra was clear: family wasn't just family, family was the brand. If her marriage to Robert Kardashian was Kris Jenner's golden ticket to Beverly Hills high society, their divorce was a turning point that forced her to prove she could hold her own. Kris's world came crashing down when her affair with a much younger man was exposed. For many women, this would have been the downfall. But Kris, she saw it as a reset button. While the divorce bruised her image, it also freed her from the shadow of Robert's legacy. She wasn't going to be Robert Kardashian's ex-wife forever. Instead, she reinvented herself with speed that stunned even her closest friend. Just months later, Kris remarried, this time to Olympic legend Bruce Jenner. Suddenly, she wasn't just a Beverly Hills socialite, she was Mrs. America. And with that title came new opportunities, bigger social circles, and a fresh image to polish. But Kris wasn't done. With Bruce, she had 2 more daughters, Kendall and Kylie, and she immediately began weaving them into her grand plan. This wasn't just a family, it was a dynasty in the making. And Kris? She was the architect, laying the foundation brick by brick. By the mid-2000s, Kris Jenner saw something the rest of the world dismissed as nonsense: reality television. While other families feared the idea of exposing their lives to millions, Kris believed the Kardashians could become household names if given the right platform. And when E came knocking, she didn't just answer the door, she threw it wide open.
Kris, let's get you a party together.
The pitch for keeping up with the Kardashians sounded absurd to some. A chaotic family of privileged personalities, cameras capturing arguments, makeups, breakups, and designer handbags. But Kris knew drama sells, and her family had plenty of it. She convinced each of her kids to sign on, persuading them with promises of opportunities, fame, and wealth. Even the reluctant ones fell into her orbit. When the show premiered in 2007, critics mocked it as shallow and trashy. But the ratings told a different story. America couldn't look away. Overnight, the Kardashians became pop culture's guilty pleasure. And while the world laughed, Kris cashed the checks. The trade-off was brutal but clear. The family gained fortune, yet lost their privacy forever. Birthdays, divorces, betrayals, and breakdowns weren't just personal matters anymore. They were storylines. For Kris, the cameras weren't invasive. They were currency. She didn't just sign a deal with E. She signed her family into history. And with that one contract, Kris Jenner transformed her household into one of the most profitable reality dynasties ever built. If there was one moment that could have destroyed the Kardashian name forever, it was Kim's infamous tape. For most families, this would have been the end: scandal, shame, and retreating from the spotlight. But for Kris Jenner, it was the perfect storm to prove her true power as a strategist. Instead of letting her daughter's reputation collapse, Kris flipped the script. She seized the narrative, turned the scandal into publicity, and transformed Kim into a household name. It wasn't luck, it was calculation. Kris knew that scandal sells, and she turned damage control into brand building. She negotiated interviews, appearances, and eventually positioned the family as real, raw, and unfiltered. By taking control of the narrative, she ensured that instead of being remembered as a downfall, the tape became the launchpad for Kim's superstardom and the Kardashian empire as a whole. Of course, the moral questions never stopped swirling. Should a mother really be the one pulling the strings in her daughter's darkest moment? Was she protecting Kim or profiting off her pain? This was the moment the world realized Kris wasn't just a mom. She was a manager, a marketer, and above all, a mastermind who was willing to blur every line between family and business.
So you coined the term momager? Okay. And you've said that you're the family CEO, right?
I am.
Okay. And you're paid a 10% manager's fee on the gross income from your family's deals. That's pretty good, Kris.
As the Kardashian name grew louder, so did Kris Jenner's grip on the family's finances. She wasn't just managing careers, she was managing the money trail, and every dollar flowed through her hands. That infamous 10% momager cut? It became her calling card. From modeling gigs to fragrance lines, appearances, endorsement deals, and eventually billion-dollar beauty brands, Kris ensured that nothing happened without her signature at the bottom of the contract.
You know, the girls wanted out of a business, and there's a lot of them, and then me and my son. So there's 7 of us, you know, that we had to sort of structure a business. And you start throwing spaghetti against the wall. Like in the beginning, we were like, oh, let's try this or let's try that.
But with money came power, and with power came control. Kris built an empire where loyalty wasn't optional, it was mandatory. The daughters might have been the faces, but Kris was the machine behind them, orchestrating every deal and every opportunity. And if someone dared to step out of line, Kris always had a way of steering them back or freezing them out. It's this iron grip that made her both admired and feared. Business executives called her sharp, calculated, and relentless. But critics claim she treated her children less like daughters and more like products to be packaged and sold. The lines between family love and business obligation blurred so much that many began to wonder if Kris was building the empire for them, or simply for herself. And the cracks were about to widen even further. Kris and Bruce had already split in 2013, but the real rupture came 2 years later. In 2015, Bruce became Caitlyn, and what should have been a deeply private moment of change unfolded, while Keeping Up with the Kardashians was still at its peak. It was the kind of spectacle reality TV had never seen before, not just family drama, but a deeply personal transformation packaged as primetime entertainment. For audiences, it was irresistible. Tabloid headlines, voyeurism, and cultural debate colliding in one storyline. And for Kris, it was ratings gold. Caitlyn accused her of manipulation and betrayal. Kris fired back with her own accusations. And suddenly, the family wasn't just fractured in private, it was split for the world to see. What should have been healing became just another storyline.
Just that first look at Caitlyn is so surreal, and I feel like it'll take me a second. What did you say? I mistreated you. It was like, mistreated you? Yeah, we fought like cats and dogs for the last couple years. But that's not what you say in a Vanity Fair article. And it just killed me because it wasn't true. And that's just, you know, it was like, what happened to just the life we had together? It's like, you just threw that away.
Kim became the face of the brand, but always through spectacle. Remember the paper magazine cover that promised to break the internet? Khloé's DUI arrest played out almost live. It could have ended in shame, yet was reframed as a storyline about grief and resilience. Kylie denied her lip fillers until the reveal itself became the launch pad for her billion-dollar lip kit empire. Rob, meanwhile, retreated from the cameras, calling the whole machine toxic. Even Kendall and Kylie admitted to the pressure of living inside a storyline that never switched off.
I think there's so much misconception on so many things and how we are and the relationship with all of us. We're actually just such
to the
a
point
close.
where it's very
But
overwhelming.
she doesn't know half the
sometimes.
stuff that's being said.
For all her success, Kris Jenner has left a trail of broken relationships in her climb to the top. From the affair that ended her first marriage to the public war with Caitlyn, from Khloé's DUI to Kylie's lip fillers, the empire was always built on fracture. Every scandal became strategy, every rupture another storyline. And that's the paradox of Kris Jenner. She built the most famous family in the world by breaking it first. So is she the marketing genius who redefined celebrity? Or the mother who turned her family into a global brand at any cost?